Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. Our phone number is 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Joining us now from the home of the Ducks is comedian Frank King. Frank, good morning.
Good morning, go Ducks. I should also say, just to be fair, go Beavs. The Beavers.
I see. Do you say that a lot in Eugene at all?
Oh, God. Oh, Lord. Well, you know what it is there are actually more people who graduated from Oregon State in Eugene than there are people who graduated from U of O. I think because, they graduate from school in Corvallis and they have to find a job. So they come to Eugene to get a job.
Boy, amazing. It must be awesome to just be in, the home of the Ducks with everything else going on. A lot of sports things as well, Frank. Let's talk a little bit about what you talk about, and you try and help folks cope with something that we're dealing with, which is suicide, and you use humor to try and help folks.
Yes, I get that question a lot. Comedian keynoting on depression and suicide, a couple things. One, I believe a comedian is a good choice in that if you think back to the time of the court jester, the only person who could speak truth to power on behalf of the powerless was the jester. And so I figure my job is to speak truth to the power of mental illness on behalf of those often powerless in its grip. And I also believe where there's humor, there's hope. Laughter, there's life, that nobody dies laughing. And I personally, my family, one of the things I inherited from my mother was generational depression and suicide. My grandmother died by suicide. My grandmother's sister died by suicide. And I came awfully close in April of 2010 of doing the same. So I have what they call in the mental health business lived experience.
Indeed. How can humor help us in our time of need? We lost a state representative here who committed suicide, and it's been a big story in the paper. You have some tough allegations against him that we've talked about and again. So what are some warning signs that can help people that maybe are looking at others and saying something's not right with them?
Yes, and I lecture on that as well. I talk about signs and symptoms of depression, thoughts of suicide, and then, solutions, what to do. Question often comes up, how do I know if somebody's depressed? Well, there's a dozen or more symptoms, top 3 or 4, has difficulty getting started in the morning, rallies in the afternoon. Doesn't take pleasure in social activities they used to take great pleasure in. Eats too much, can't eat, sleeps too much, can't sleep. Isolating. All of a sudden moves for no apparent reason across the country and isolates. Those are, top 4 or 5 of the symptoms of depression. Then the thing, what happens then, Kevin, is, so the question arises, what do I say if I believe, that the person is battling depression? Well, I start with what you don't say. If they tell you they're depressed, don't say pull yourself up by your bootstraps, turn that frown upside down. Have you tried fish oil? Which I've had people suggest to me. Have you tried fish oil? What you do say to somebody you believe is depressed or who has been brave enough to tell you they are depressed, you say to them, I am here for you and mean it. I know that you're not crazy, lazy, or self-absorbed. I know that depression is a mental illness. The good news is with time and treatment, things will get better. I will take the time, and you got to mean it, and help you get the treatment and mean it. And here's the tough question, Kevin. This is the one you need to practice in the bathroom mirror before you ask. Are you having thoughts of suicide? There's a school of thought that you should never mention the S word, suicide, to someone who is battling depression. And as a comedian, I love the reasoning behind that. It's that if you mention suicide to somebody who is battling depression, it might give them the idea. Suicide? What a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? You absolutely must ask the question now. Would you like signs that somebody might be considering suicide? Would that be helpful to the listeners?
It would be. By the way, our friend Frank King joining us from Eugene, Oregon at KIDO Talk Radio, talking about suicide prevention and how humor can hopefully save some lives.
Yeah, and I get hired oftentimes, Kevin, because the Mental Health Foundation wants a message, a mental health message. They'd like somebody with what I mentioned earlier, lived experience, somebody who knows. I came close enough. I know what the barrel of a gun tastes like. And then a little bit of humor appropriate, not just jokes bolted on, but humor that's appropriate and it comes organically from the subject matter. For example, before I did my TED Talk, if you go to YouTube and type in Frank King and suicide, you'll find it. I looked up TED Talks on suicide, figuring I would see how everybody else handled the topic. And, on TED, there's thousands of talks on thousands of subjects, and there were three on suicide. And then it hit me, well, if you're really good at suicide, chances are you're not going to be recording a TED Talk. So that's the kind of thing where it's dark, but it fits the subject. So suicide, a couple things to look for. Again, having difficulty eating too much, sleeping too much, not eating enough, not sleeping enough. Talking about death, Googling death. Death appears in their writing or other artwork. Giving away prized possessions, that is a late-stage sign. They're giving their prized possessions away because they want to make sure when they're gone that the people who they want to get those possessions get them. And here's a counterintuitive one, and this is a really late-stage sign. They've been depressed, Kevin, for seemed like ever, and all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, they are over-the-top happy. There's a good chance that they have decided time, place, and method, and so they know that the pain will end, and that's why they are happy. And by the way, here's a misconception. Somebody said to me after a friend died here in Eugene by suicide, I can't believe he wanted to end his life. I said, chances are he did not want to end his life. He just wanted to end the pain. That's how I felt. I didn't want to end my life. I just wanted to end the pain.
Frank King joining us on KIDO Talk Radio. So when you say you know what a barrel of a gun tastes like, you were very close to committing suicide.
Yes, and by the way, the preferred term these days in the mental health community is died by suicide. I think what they're thinking is commit carries quite a bit of baggage. You commit a crime, you commit a sin. People don't commit cancer. I guess if you smoke 3 packs of Marlboros a day, you probably commit cancer. But so the preferred verbiage is died by suicide. I came very close. Recession, bankruptcy. It was my wife was suffering a great deal, and that was a big part of my suffering was watching her suffer through all this, and having a history of depression and suicide in the family. It seemed like, it's classic. I felt like a burden. I felt if I was gone, she'd have the life insurance proceeds. She'd be lonely and miss me, but her life would pretty much return to normal otherwise. Does that make sense?
It does, but again, what saved your life?
Oh, well, it's my life insurance, actually. A lot of people don't know this, but if you die by suicide in the first 2 years of a life insurance policy, all the life insurance company does is return the premiums. If you do it 2 years and a day, 24 months and a day, then my wife would have gotten $1 million in proceeds. So I called my insurance agent, and we were chit-chatting away, and I offhandedly asked him, hey, how long have I had that policy? Just people with mental illness are great actors. And he goes, I don't know, I'll check. So I could hear him click-clacking on the keys, and then he comes back and goes, you've had it 22 months, and no, don't do it. He realized that I wasn't just asking how long I had the policy. I was asking for permission to end my life so that my wife would, because that's another misperception, that when you're thinking of suicide, your rational brain has fled completely, and that was not the case. My rational brain refused to allow me to die by suicide and leave my wife not only brokenhearted, but destitute. So, and 8 out of 10 people, Kevin, 8 out of 10 are ambivalent about dying by suicide. 2 out of 10, they're going to do it, and there's, you can't save everybody. So I was ambivalent only because I wanted to make sure. And, Kevin, if it had been paid past 24 months, we might not be having this conversation.
Frank King, very honest and open, talking about suicide prevention, but Frank, we all have our ups and downs, and, brother, I've been there as well. But, you've had incredible success. Your work on The Tonight Show, you're a successful comedian, and to consider ending it all. I mean, not everybody gets to work on The Tonight Show.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. Well, here's the deal, Kevin. I have been the most depressed, which is a feeling for me of hopelessness, at some of the best times in my life. So for me, I battle something called chronic suicidality, meaning that the option of suicide is always on the menu. You add that to major depressive disorder, and so for me, it wasn't situational. But a good number of people battle what they call situational depression and suicide. There's a divorce, there's a bankruptcy, there's, you're a legislator, you are accused of, some really bad, horrible crimes. You're losing standing in the community. I believe it was Viktor Frankl who said you can suffer most anything if you have a why. And I'm suggesting Mr. Hickson, he no family, a job gone, lost his standing in the community, facing perhaps, if he was convicted, time in prison where if he was convicted of those particular crimes, it was not going to go well for him. So my guess is he did the mental calculus and thought, there's no reason to go on. There's no why anymore. There's nothing left. So I'm just speculating that was just, in my case, the thoughts of suicide are kind of like Muzak in a retail store. They're always there playing in the background. And so even when things are good for me, things are great for me, it can rear its ugly head at the smallest frustration. My car broke down not long ago. I had 3 thoughts unbidden. I can get it fixed, I could buy a new one, or I could just kill myself. That's chronic suicidality. That's always on the menu.
Hard-hitting, in-depth, and explosive. Frank King joining us here on KIDO Talk Radio, and you say that as if you're doing a bit, but these are honest, in-depth thoughts that you're sharing with us.
Well, and there are listeners, I imagine, Kevin, because after every time I do a keynote, that last little bit about get it fixed, buy a new one, or I could just kill myself, the real return on investment for me, emotionally, is when somebody comes up after one of my keynotes, and I always take questions and answers from the audience at the end, and then I say, look, I'm going to hang out. Some people probably have questions they don't want to ask in front of everybody else. So I hang out till the last person leaves, and 1 or 2 people come up every keynote and say to me, most poignantly, a woman I did a college showcase, 800 students. She came up afterwards. She said, you made me weep. I said, how did I make you weep? She said, when you said, get it fixed, buy a new one, you could just kill yourself. She thought, up to that point, she said, because I've had those thoughts all my life. Up until that point, I thought I was the only person in the world who thought like that. And she goes, I heard you say it, and I realized I was not alone, and I wept. And so that's why I speak on this, because it's sort of the last sort of taboo, polite conversation. People just don't talk about it, and silence kills. So hopefully, if there's somebody in your listening audience, when I say or kill myself, probably 90%, 85% of the audience in the car, your listeners are like, that's absurd. 10 or 15% are nodding along. The guy's inside my head. That's the payoff for me is the. And by the way, Kevin, my next TED Talk is going to be mental with benefits. The success of my success in comedy, actually, I trace back to suicide, because I was married to a woman who's wonderful, but we shouldn't have been together. I was selling insurance, great business, but I shouldn't have been doing it. And I knew that if I kept doing it, I would kill myself sooner rather than later. So I thought, I could get divorced, I could leave the insurance business, I could do what I've always wanted to do, stand-up comedy, and if I don't succeed, well, I could still kill myself. And I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs and other entertainers I've met who had the same basic thought process. At that point, I knew I would die sooner than later by suicide, so I had nothing to lose. So that gave me the courage, I guess, in a strange way, to pursue stand-up comedy. And then recently, when I had the close, near suicide, then I realized not only what I was supposed to be, comedian, I realized the why. Why am I here? Why? And the why became speaking on, depression, thoughts of suicide, so that perhaps somebody who hears it would recognize behavior of a relative in what I've just said and realize that their relative is not alone, they're not a freak, or they themselves would recognize something in what I just said and realize they are not alone. And I got to tell you, Kevin, just the mere mention of the words depression and suicide out loud elicit amazing responses from people, some of whom I've just met, and it's almost as if they were waiting for somebody to utter the magic, or in this case, the tragic words, depression and suicide, because it happens over and over and over. I sat next to a guy on a plane. We're chatting about mental health, and he said, I suppose people you meet all have a story. And I go, pretty much everybody. And he goes, well, both my fiance and my wife died by suicide. So we just met on the plane. And I imagine people he's related to, friends and family, don't even know that. So, and here's where the humor comes, Kevin. After we'd been chatting a while, I go, look, dude, your fiance and your wife both died by suicide. I see a pattern. Is it possible it's you?
That's what I was thinking.
And he laughed. Comedy's a very delicate science or art. You got to be very careful. It's got to be well timed. You got to understand. You get the feeling from the. I knew that he could take the comment because we'd established something of a relationship on the plane. Sharing that kind of information, Kevin, deepens a relationship even on a plane pretty quickly. So.
Frank King joining us. Frank, finally, we've got a roll after this. How people can get a hold of you, and when you wrote for the Tonight Show, that was with Jay Leno?
Yes.
What was Jay like? What was Jay like, and how can we get a hold of you?
Jay was fabulous, still is. If I had a chance, Kevin, to get a job like yours on a radio station, a morning show, Jay said he would call the program director, see if he couldn't strong arm him into hiring me. I have a website. It's the MH, as in mental health, themhcomedian.com, themhcomedian.com. And you know what, Kevin? Tell your listeners, or let's tell your listeners, if you have learned, if I moved you in some way or you have questions, for goodness sakes, go to the website and email me. I'll email you back because that's my passion, my goal in life is to, if I can save a life today, it was worth getting out of bed.
Well, Frank, you've made our day worth it. We'd love to have you back. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, go Ducks.
Go, good boy.
See you, Frank.
See you.
All right, coming up, your thoughts on suicide prevention and what we can do to help. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. Let's hear what you have to say. Steve in Meridian, thanks for your patience. Good morning.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for the chance to share. I loved listening to Frank. I'm so glad he's alive. Wow, comedy is so huge. I mean, laughter does work like medicine. Grateful for his life and anybody else who, thankfully, didn't give in to the incredible oppression and depression of the potential suicide. But I wanted to share that, just like many years ago, most people used to believe the earth was flat, but in fact it's round. Similarly, today, most people look at life from only a secular point of view, and yet there's an important spiritual component. And suicide, from a Christian circle's point of view, it leaves the living to suffer, and it's never a noble thing. It's essentially murdering yourself. And I just wanted to say that it's never once condoned ever, no matter when in your insurance policy, no matter what. And it really denies the value of a person's life, and everybody's life was paid for a really big, heavy price by the name of a guy named Jesus. And I just don't want to go off on the religion point of view too much. I just want to say that stand strong. Everybody out there who's ever had a hard day, there's somebody out there who's had a harder day than you. Do not give up. You are valuable. We need you alive. And suicide is never, never, never the answer. Don't give the devil any more credit than he deserves. You can always have deliverance and hope, and there's always a bright future. So I just wanted to pass along that small point of view to add to what Frank was saying, that, I don't know what it's like to be in his shoes, but I sure can say that I've had some tough times in life, but I also know that taking my own life is never the solution. People need me in this life, and I can always do good one more day. So,
and Steve,
thanks for letting me share that, Kevin.
Before you go, though,
yeah.
I do echo those points when you say people that, they may be alone, they may be, going through tough times, to let them know that, whether we're friends or total strangers, that we love them, and they are cherished, and they are loved, and they would be missed, and that they don't need to leave this world. And as you said, don't give the devil the victory. Stay, pray, and get help.
Exactly. Love that, man. And Kevin, your show is awesome. Here's why. Because a lot of talk shows have an agenda. They want to push this, push that. I really continue to enjoy how this particular show allows all kinds of things, whether I disagree with a person's speaking points or not, their point of view or not. It really touches on the the critical, emotionally sensitive parts of life and the serious points of life, whether political or personal. But here we are talking about suicide at 7:30 in the morning, and yet, you know what? Today's a great day. I woke up on the right side of the dirt, and so did you, Kevin, and I'm thankful for you and all the listeners, and let's have a great day, guys. Let's make it a better day. When we wake up tomorrow, it'll be even better. Let's look forward to that, please.
God bless you, Steve. Thank you for the call.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
God bless. Traffic and weather together, and we'll continue on with this topic, preventing suicide, next with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning.
And by the way, we'll go back to the president's comments concerning the countries of Haiti and others as we continue on. But we are going to take more of your thoughts on suicide prevention in light of what has happened here locally. By the way, Jim and Star really liked Frank King. Big ups to Ray Amaya for booking him. We'll have him back. And speaking of the program, coming up on Monday, huge guest. How do you win $1 million? How do you win Survivor? That's right. Ben from Survivor, who's from Boise, will be joining us right here during the 7 o'clock hour. Dave Petzel will join us on Tuesday. And we are also working on another guest in the 8 o'clock hour, which will be even bigger. But Ben from Survivor will join us. He'll give us his tips on how he did the unthinkable and won the unwinnable. Joining us now, Tanya J. Powers from New York. Good morning.
Good morning.
Boy, how about that national title game?
Yeah, your team managed to pull it out there and win.
I'm so sorry. I just couldn't resist. It's Happy New Year,
I didn't expect you to. You did not let me down.
Again, well, and by the way, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All right. Sorry, just very enthusiastic with the congratulations, but I appreciate that. Let's get to hashtag #MeToo latest. Some celebs saying Oprah is part of the problem?
Well, one is saying that, definitely. Seal, the music artist, he put out an Instagram post a couple days ago after the Golden Globes where she made her speech. And he said that, Oprah was part of the problem. He also posted a couple of pictures of her with Harvey Weinstein, in different poses, like, with the greeting to Hollywood, hey, how are you doing, sort of thing. And didn't seem to be a big fan of Oprah's, especially as far as the Time's Up stuff goes, saying that, she knew about Harvey Weinstein and what kind of person he was and didn't say anything before. So he, questioned her, I guess, sincerity with the whole thing. Not only that, Seth MacFarlane also tweeted something. His was a little bit less pointed than Seal's, but nevertheless he did as well. And then you've got the James Franco stuff on the other side of things, where 5 women have come out and accused him of sexual misconduct.
Yeah, that seems to be resonating more and more coverage on that. Anything with the latest there, except Mr. Franco denies it?
Well, he doesn't necessarily deny it. What he says is the tweets aren't accurate.
Okay.
So, he's had trouble with this in the past because in 2014 he also was texting a 17-year-old that he'd met on social media. That didn't set well with a lot of people and kind of got him in trouble there. The women, some of them who are now accusing him now say that this happened, the sexual misconduct happened when they were students basically at and working with a studio that he was running, an acting studio. So they say that he was basically promising them better roles if they would part with different pieces of clothing. So
well, who are they going to get next?
Oh, I don't know. Give it a minute. There seems to be a new headline, almost daily on this. So,
Tanya J. Powers, we appreciate you, and thank you once again for the congratulations.
Anytime, of course. It was well deserved. You guys won, so
They almost had us.
They almost did. There was a lot of people who thought they really did. But they managed to pull that out and win and get the bragging rights for another year. So,
well, it's kind of like our friend Lee Corsa says, not so fast, my friend. Anyway,
well said.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
All right, 580-5436-580-KIDO. Let's go to Patriot Ray with Kevin Miller. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
A blessed New Year to you and your family, sir.
I've had several close friends who committed suicide, well, 3 actually. And it's never a good time for those who are survivors. But those who are committing such an act, those who think that, well, they're going to hell, they have no clue. They don't have an idea. None of us do. That's between them and our Lord. And we don't know the frame of mind they were in. We need to be forgiving and loving and pray for them. As we go about life, some of us leave this earth just too soon on natural causes. And yet to have someone take their life, they don't know, like was talked about earlier, whether they really intended to do so or they were just screaming for help and nobody was there to help. So we just need to love them and care. Today we will lay to rest Thomas S. Monson, our wonderful prophet, who served valiantly, is greatly loved throughout the world. And we will have a new president soon. So the church will go on, but we will love him and we'll miss him. But we just go forward in life because we know what it's all about. We want to be back with our Savior someday. So God bless you, Kevin Miller. Thank you for the people that you bring onto your radio station and how they bring to life the real things in life that are important. And we are just so grateful for you and Ray Amaya for all that you do and for the station, that you bring forth those speakers who really speak the truth, and we can get past some of the minutiae that's going on in the world today. So God bless you, Kevin, and your family, and Happy New Year to you all. And Happy New Year to your listeners.
God bless you, Patriot Ray, to you and your family as well.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye. 580-5436-580-KIDO. Let's go to Max in Garden City, who's been very patient on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Max.
Hey, good morning, buddy. How you doing?
I'm living the dream, and you?
Living the dream plus. I just wanted to throw in my 2 cents on the suicide issue. I've been through some pretty dark times over the years, and I'm no stranger to trying to figure out how to do it, I was given a management tool by a really great man. And when I start experiencing dark thoughts, when I start thinking of suicide, I look for something to look forward to. In fact, looking forward to is probably, that should be on my tombstone one day. When I die at the tender age of 110, I want to say, looked forward to. Today, I've got 2 mile markers I'm looking forward to. I've got something at least every day that I look forward to seeing, doing, being. And then I have my greater markers. I've got a surgery coming up in February, which I'm excited about, because it's a new beginning. I look forward to something I've been saving up to buy. I look forward to cuddling my daughter. Things I look forward to. And, I appear a little goofy to some people because I developed a marvelous talent for entertaining myself. But I'll tell you what, I have not tried or considered suicide, Lord, in well over 10 years now. It works. It's, we can look at the spiritual aspects, but a lot of people out there need something more tangible, more now. And guys, if you're out there, if you're man, woman, whoever you are, I'm talking to you. Look forward to something. There are so many stupid things. I once looked forward to tap dancing in the pharmacy. So I went down to my local pharmacy, put on my shoes, and threw on a performance. Okay, it's stupid, it's crazy, it's over the top. I look forward to it, and I'll do it again. That's all I have to say, Kevin.
God bless, Max. Thank you.
Okay.
580-5436-580-KIDO. We go to the publisher of the Gem State Patriot, Tea Party Bob. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today?
Living the dream, and you?
Well, you're a survivor.
Yeah.
Is that not correct?
It is correct.
You know, I was taking a friend who grew up in New York to the hospital this morning, and we were listening to your show about the president's comments. She turned to me and said, "What do they expect from someone who grew up in New York? We were taught to be brutally honest." You know, New Yorkers definitely have a different vocabulary than most of the rest of the United States. Acknowledgement of the truth is often very hurtful, but sometimes it's necessary to get a point across. Think about the fact that $13.5 billion was spent on Haiti after the earthquake, and the recovery efforts have been acknowledged as pitiful. And the United States took in 58,000 Haitians after the quake, and they're still here. Gave them insurmountable amounts of aid for their recovery. And when you look at somebody like Somalia, between 2000 and 2016, we've taken 98,000 Somali refugees. 99% were Muslim, and half are under 21 with little or no education. You know, the people of these countries, when asked privately, would tell you that they would move to the U.S. or any other developed country in a heartbeat because the conditions in their countries are so bad. This is just another opportunity for the liberal media to express their disdain for President Trump because they're losing the battle day by day as the Trump train continues chugging along, improving life for every American.
Well, here, hold on, Tea Party Bob. Let's just, for people that weren't listening earlier, let's share with everyone Tucker's comments, because I think he put it succinctly, where CNN is swearing openly on the cable. Tucker really hits the nail on the head, just like you did. And remember, when you hear Fox News on the radio, you're listening to KIDO Talk Radio.
Tonight. Today, as you doubtless heard during immigration talks, President Trump said something that almost every single person in America actually agrees with. An awful lot of immigrants come to this country from other places that aren't very nice. Those places are dangerous, they're dirty, they're corrupt, and they're poor. And that's the main reason those immigrants are trying to come here, and you would too if you live there. President Trump asked why America doesn't receive more immigrants from places you might want to visit on vacation. Why aren't we getting more people from Norway, he said, which by almost any measure, including the UN's measures, is the most developed and richest country in the world. Well, saying this, Trump used an expletive, and that's not surprising either, since he uses them all the time and was speaking privately. And yet, for some reason, virtually everyone in Washington, New York, and L.A. considered this a major, major event. Why is that? To find out, we're joined by Jose Parra. He was Latino Communications Director for Barack Obama's 2012 campaign, and he joins us in the studio. Jose, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for the opportunity, Tom.
So I think it's, of course you can have a debate over what countries we ought to admit immigrants from, and I think we're kind of having that debate. But what bothers me about the explosion this afternoon is the dishonesty in it. And I'll just give you one example. Joan Walsh over on CNN, an analyst over there, was asked just a minute ago, would you rather live in Haiti or Norway? And she said with a straight face, I can't say. Flying. If we've gotten to the point where we all have to pretend that every country is exactly as nice as every other country, then we're being dishonest.
Your thoughts, Tea Party Bob?
Well, he couldn't have hit the nail on the head any harder. I think Americans are more interested in the fact that our president is fixing this country after 8 years of devastation by the Obama administration than worrying about what President Trump has said privately about third world countries that would be so much worse off if it were not for the generosity of the United States. You know, basically it comes down to one thing. The truth hurts, and people don't like to hear it. And the liberal media are the first ones to complain.
Thank you for the call, Tea Party Bob.
Again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to Jim in Star with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Hey, Millie. Great show this morning. I like the fact that, you're getting out of the normal zone or the normal lane and doing something different with the comedian you had for mental health. I think that brought some great perspective, and I appreciate it. It's good stuff. You can say thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, bud. As you can see, it affects a lot of people. I mean, you've already had a couple of your great callers and that have been, friends of the show for so many years, and they've personally dealt with, suicide and depression and all those issues in their family. And one of the things I just wanted to run by you was, when we were watching the wheels come off of Representative Hickson, I had met him before a few times back when things were going better for him. And, I mean, you could just see the decline. And every time there would be an arrest, he had a couple DUI arrests and stuff, he just looked so empty and so lost and so hopeless. And I just want to say to your listeners, out there, when you see a family member, a friend, a coworker, a loved one, even somebody that you don't even really know, and you see that kind of look, that they're in a bad place, I think it's part of your DNA as a human being to try to help and try to reach out and at least get the person to try to talk and see what you can do to help intervene. I mean, that's what we're here for, to help one another, right?
I would agree. And I think the older we get, the more comfortable we get in being authentic and transparent when we say that to people that may be hurting, that we love you, we care for you, and you're going to, how can you do that? You're total strangers. No, brothers and sisters, we love you, and you are loved. I think that's the most important thing.
Yep, you see it with the rescue mission. I see it in your work there, and I see it with what everybody is doing there. And, there's just, sometimes life sucks. Sometimes it throws some really terrible things at you. I mean, you and I are personal friends. Some things that I've gone through in the last 5 or 6 years, and some of them have been very close to death, and it's tough. And that's what you need good friends and good family for. But I just encourage people, stop denying reality. It's a very real thing. Depression, mental illness, and suicide is a very real thing. And if people would get more involved and really stop thinking it'll fix itself, we would see a lot less people dying, and it'd be a much better place to live. And just want to leave it at that, man. Thanks so much for what you do, buddy.
God bless, Jim. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Let's go to Arvell in Fruitland. Arvell, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. I want to just say about suicide that even though we may have gone astray and we've lost hope, that God has not forgotten about us. I read in Isaiah 57:15, I dwell in a high and holy place, and also with the contrite and lowly of spirit, in order to revive the spirit of the lowly and to revive the heart of the contrite. I've been through situations where I've lost hope at times, and when I come to the end of myself, I find it within myself to cry out to God and say, I can't do this anymore. Please take over. And God has come for me. And He is the good shepherd. He is the good shepherd. I just want to share that with you.
You did. And repeat that one more time about God being the good shepherd, Arvell. It's okay. We love you.
Thank you.
Okay. God bless.
Yes, He's there. He doesn't want anyone to perish.
Well, if God is for us, who can be against?
That's right. Bless the Lord. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. God bless Arvell and Fruitland. Traffic and weather together, then more. And we continue on taking your phone calls about the issues that matter to you. Joe in Meridian, good morning. You're on with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Hey, Kevin. How are you today again?
Good to have you, brother.
Hey, just a couple thoughts. I think on the immigration thing, it's not just about what country people come from and if it's a third world country or not. My parents served at a rescue mission, and there was a lot of hardworking people that came from Cambodia and Vietnam at that time. And you know what? They really wanted to be here, and they got straight A's even though they couldn't speak English in school. So it's really not that issue as much to me as it is, do they really want to excel? Are they going to really try to understand the country and add to it? Are they going to give it 120%, or are they just going to come here and look for a handout? So to me, I think that's an important distinction. It's a little bit silly to say we don't want people from rich countries. I know people aren't saying that, but it seems like the dialogue's going that direction. So I thought I'd throw that in.
Your thoughts are always welcome. Throw in any time, Joe.
Have a good one.
You too. Julie in Star with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Kevin. I just wanted to call in and give my thoughts about the suicide issue. I'm celebrating 3.5 years past the try that almost took my life. I woke up on a ventilator, and I was really angry at first. And it took some really serious mental health counseling and issues to help me get past all the issues that had brought me to that point in my life. And so I just wanted to say that there's a lot of us out here that may have had that in their lives. And I know that I was blessed and that I was watched over and that I wasn't allowed to die, because there was a reason for me to still be here. So I just want to encourage all those who are having those kind of thoughts to reach out. I know it's hard to reach out when you're in that pit, but try to reach out and just talk to people that you know and love, and to try to share your feelings with them. And that's kind of what I wanted to say. So.
Well, we're happy you're with us.
Yeah, so am I. So am I. So anyway, hope you have a great day, and I really enjoy your show.
Maybe I'll see you at the Merc one day. If you do, please just stop by and say hi, okay?
That'd be great. All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Julie. God bless.
Mm-hmm.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller with you as we move along. Steve and Mesa, hang on. We will get to you. We'll get to all of your calls. Fox News is next. Then we'll hear from our friend Brian Maloney, get his thoughts on the Trump fallout concerning what he said or didn't say, why the media continues to want to unseat the president, and why the libs, yes, the libs, the progressives, never heard of something about a phrase called benefit of the doubt. Is that asking too much? Just because the libs say it doesn't mean it's true. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.